Commander Hyunwoo Park stared at the screens in front of him. The numbers made no sense. His coffee grew cold as he watched the readings from Earth's deep space station. Something big was coming. Something very big. "Sir, you need to see this," called out Operator Jinsu from across the control room. His voice shook as he spoke. Hyunwoo walked over to Jinsu's station. The young man pointed at his screen with a trembling finger. Massive objects were dropping out of hyperspace, not one or two, dozens of them. Each one was larger than Earth's biggest space station. They appeared above every human colony world at the same time: Mars, Europa, the mining stations near Jupiter, and the new settlements beyond Pluto. All of them. "Get me Admiral Bo Young on the secure channel," Hyunwoo ordered. His hands moved quickly over the control panel. Red warning lights flashed across the station. This was not a drill. The main screen lit up with the face of Admiral Bo Young Song. Her expression was grim. Behind her, officers ran back and forth in panic. "Commander Park, tell me you have good news," she said. "No good news here, Admiral. The objects are massive. Our computers say they are warships, very advanced ones." Hyunwoo pulled up the scan results. "They are not from any human design we know." Admiral Song nodded. "We are seeing the same thing from all our stations. Whatever these ships are, they want to talk. We are getting a signal on all frequencies, broadcasting in perfect Korean, English, and every other human language." The transmission came through clear and cold. A voice that sounded like crystal, breaking, spoke to them. "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Dominion. We speak for 12 ancient races who have ruled the galaxy for 1 billion years." Hyunwoo felt his blood turn cold. Dr. Yoonji Kim, the station's science officer, ran into the control room. She had been studying the alien signals for the past hour. Her face was pale with fear. "Commander," she whispered, "I have been listening to their private communications. They are not here to make friends." The alien voice continued its broadcast. "Your species has been studied. You have been judged. In 72 of your hours, you will surrender all technology above the level of medieval tools. Your expansion into space will end. Your population will be reduced to manageable levels." Dr. Kim grabbed Hyunwoo's arm. "They call us a cosmic anomaly. Their computers show that humans develop technology too fast. Other species took millions of years to reach space. We did it in a few thousand years. They are afraid of us." "Afraid?" Hyunwoo asked. "They have ships the size of cities." "That is exactly why they are afraid," Dr. Kim said. She pulled up her research on a portable screen. "Look at this data I collected from their transmissions. Every other species in the galaxy follows the same pattern. Slow growth, careful development. They take forever to change anything." The alien broadcast continued. "If you do not surrender, you will be eliminated. This is not negotiation, this is notification. We have removed other dangerous species from the galaxy. You will join them in extinction." Captain Dong Hyun Lee burst into the control room. He commanded the station's small defense force. "Sir, our sensors show weapons charging on those ships. Big weapons, planet killer size." Admiral Song's voice came through the speakers. "All stations, this is command. Begin immediate evacuation procedures for all civilian areas. Military personnel, prepare for combat operations. This is not a drill." Hyunwoo looked around the control room. His people were scared, but they were working. That was what humans did. When faced with the impossible, they worked. "Dr. Kim, keep monitoring their communications. Find out everything you can about these aliens and their weapons. Captain Lee, get our defenses ready. I know they are small compared to those ships, but we will not go quietly." Outside the station, space filled with alien vessels. They were beautiful, in a terrible way, made of materials that looked like living metal and crystal. Their hulls showed designs that human minds could barely understand. These ships were built by creatures who had ruled the galaxy since before humans learned to make fire. Dr. Kim worked frantically at her computer station. "Commander, I am picking up more transmissions. They mentioned something called a reality anchor. It is some kind of weapon that can remove entire planets from existence." "Remove them how?" Hyunwoo asked. "The translation is unclear, but it sounds like they can make planets disappear from normal space. Not destroy them, make them never exist at all. Engineer So Young Nam ran up to them. She had been working on the station's communication array. "Sir, I managed to break into one of their data streams. You need to hear this." The speakers crackled with alien voices. Dr. Kim translated as they spoke. "The humans must be anchored before their contamination spreads. Other young species are already showing signs of human influence, faster development, independent thinking. The order must be preserved." Hyunwoo felt sick. The aliens were not just afraid of humans, they were afraid of human ideas spreading to other species. They wanted to keep the entire galaxy under their control. On the screens around them, Earth appeared. The blue and white planet looked so small compared to the alien fleet surrounding it. Hundreds of massive ships blocked out the stars. Each one carried enough firepower to crack a moon in half. "Commander Park," came Admiral Song's voice. "We are detecting energy buildup in their weapons. They are not waiting 72 hours. They are going to fire." Captain Lee checked his weapon systems. The station had missile batteries and laser cannons. Against the alien fleet, they would be like throwing rocks at a mountain. But they would try anyway. "All stations fire at will," Admiral Song ordered. The first shots of the war lit up space around Earth. Human missiles and energy beams struck the alien ships. The attacks barely scratched their hulls. The aliens returned fire with weapons that turned matter into pure energy. Earth's moon base disappeared in a flash of white light. One moment it was there, home to 50,000 people. The next moment, there was only empty space. Not even debris remained. "They are not just destroying us," Dr. Kim said, her voice full of horror. "They are erasing us like we never existed." More human stations died. The orbital shipyards around Mars, the mining platforms in the asteroid belt, each one wiped out completely. No wreckage, no remains, just gone. Hyunwoo watched his species' greatest achievements disappear one by one, but he also watched his people fight back. Human ships that should have run away instead charged at the alien fleet. Pilots who knew they could not win still fired every weapon they had. "This is Commander Park to all human forces," he broadcast on all channels. "They want to erase us from the galaxy. They think humans are too dangerous to live. Maybe they are. Right. Maybe we are too stubborn to know when we are beaten. Let's show them what dangerous really looks like." Engineer So Young Nam looked up from her workstation. "Sir, I am still receiving data from their ships. They are talking about other species they have eliminated. Dozens of them, some of them fought back too. What happened to them?" Hyunwoo asked. "They were anchored, locked away in some kind of dimensional prison. But sir, some of the data suggests that these imprisoned species are still alive, still fighting, still trying to get out." Hyunwoo stared at the battle raging outside. Human ships died by the hundreds, but they kept fighting. That was what made humans dangerous to the aliens. They never gave up. As Earth's defense fleet burned around them, Hyunwoo made a promise. The aliens thought they could erase humanity from the galaxy. They were wrong. Humans would find a way to survive. They would find a way to fight back. And maybe, just maybe, they would find a way to free all the other species the aliens had imprisoned. The war for the galaxy had begun, and humans never backed down from a fight. 3 months had passed since the aliens first attacked. Earth was a broken world. The once blue skies were gray with smoke and ash. Cities lay in ruins. But deep underground in the tunnels beneath Seoul, Min Ho Choi was planning the next strike against the occupation forces. The aliens had made their first mistake. They thought destroying Earth's surface would break human spirit. Instead, humans had gone underground like ants. They built new homes in subway tunnels, old mines, and bomb shelters. They learned to live in darkness and silence. But most importantly, they learned to fight back. "Target confirmed," whispered Yejin Park into her radio. She crouched behind a pile of rubble, watching an alien patrol move through the destroyed streets above. The creatures walked on 6 legs and wore armor that shimmered like oil on water. Their weapons could cut through steel like paper. But Yejin had learned something useful. She used to be a quantum physics professor before the war. Now she spent her days taking apart alien technology. Human brains worked differently than alien brains, where the aliens saw complex systems that took centuries to understand. Humans saw puzzles to solve quickly. "Ready when you are," came Minho's voice through the radio. Yijin pressed a button on the device in her hands. It used to be part of an alien scout ship that crashed near Busan. She had figured out how to turn their own weapons against them. The alien patrol stopped walking. Their armor systems shut down one by one. Without their technology, they were helpless. Human fighters poured out of hidden tunnels. They moved fast and quiet. Within minutes, the alien patrol was captured and their equipment taken. The humans melted back into the underground before reinforcements could arrive. "Another successful raid," Minho said as they gathered in their hidden base. The old subway station had become home to 300 survivors. Children played in the corners while adults worked on weapons and communication equipment. Jiwon Kim looked up from the alien weapon she was studying. She had been a car mechanic before the war. Now she was one of their best engineers. "I think I figured out how their energy shields work. If we can build enough of these disruptor devices, we might be able to take down something bigger than patrol units." Above ground, space was full of alien ships. They controlled every orbital station and moon base. But they were having problems, too. Admiral Tae Ho Jung commanded what was left of the human fleet. His ships struck fast and ran before the aliens could respond. Hit-and-run tactics that confused the enemy. The aliens were used to fighting wars that lasted thousands of years. Careful movements, predictable strategies. They had never faced an enemy that changed tactics every few hours. Human commanders made decisions in minutes that alien war councils needed weeks to consider. "Admiral Jung to all ships," came the transmission, to the hidden fleet base on Europa. The moon was covered in ice, but underneath were caves where human ships could hide. "Intelligence reports the aliens are moving their command center to Titan. This is our chance to hit them where it hurts." Captain Su Jin Yang received the message on her ship, the Defiant. It was a small cruiser that had survived the first attacks by playing dead in an asteroid field. Now it carried missiles loaded with human-modified alien technology. "Set course for Saturn," she ordered her crew. "Time to show these aliens that humans do not stay down when knocked over." On Europa's hidden base, Ga Young Kim made a discovery that changed everything. She had been studying the data taken from captured alien computers. The former biology student now worked as the Resistance's main intelligence officer. "Minho, you need to see this," she called over the radio to Seoul. "I found something about that reality anchor weapon they threatened us with." Minho's voice crackled through the speakers in the Europa base. "What did you find?" "It is not just a weapon. It is a prison. The aliens do not just destroy species that threaten them. They lock them away in dimensional bubbles, remove them from normal space entirely." Ga Young's fingers moved quickly over her computer screen. "According to this data, they have done it dozens of times." The news spread quickly through the Resistance network. Humans around the solar system learned that they were not the first species to fight the Galactic Dominion, but they were the first to last this long. In the tunnels beneath Seoul, Dr. Yoonji Kim worked with a team of scientists and engineers. They had salvaged equipment from destroyed laboratories and were building something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. "The alien technology works on principles we barely understand," she explained to Minho. "But human intuition allows us to use it in ways they never intended. We are like children playing with adult tools, but sometimes that means we find new ways to use them." Her team had built a communication device that could reach across vast distances instantly. It used alien quantum technology in ways that broke their own rules. The first test message was sent to Admiral Young's fleet. "Seoul base to Admiral Young. New communication system online. We can now coordinate attacks across the entire solar system in real time." The response came back immediately. "Outstanding work, Seoul. We are beginning the assault on Titan now. Wish us luck." On his flagship, Admiral Jung watched the massive alien command station orbiting Saturn's largest moon. It was a structure the size of a city, defended by hundreds of warships. His small fleet had no chance in a direct fight. But humans did not fight directly when they were outnumbered. "All ships begin diversion pattern Alpha," he ordered. His ship spread out and began attacking targets across Saturn's moons. The alien defenders moved to respond to each threat. While they were distracted, a single human ship approached Titan from the dark side of the moon. Jin Woo-Yoon commanded, the scout ship Pathfinder. He had been a test pilot before the war, used to flying missions that most people called impossible. Now he guided his ship through Titan's atmosphere, using the thick clouds to hide from alien sensors. Landing successful, he reported back to the fleet, beginning infiltration of the alien command center. The structure on Titan's surface was built from the same living metal as the alien ships. But Jinwoo had studied captured alien equipment for months. He knew how their security systems worked. More importantly, he knew how they did not work when approached by human methods. Inside the alien command center, Jinwoo found something unexpected. Archive rooms filled with data about other species, other wars, other civilizations that had challenged the galactic dominion. "Admiral, you need to hear this," he whispered into his communicator. "I found records of a species called the Kethmiran. They almost defeated the Dominion before being locked away with the reality anchor. They left a message." Jinwoo activated the alien recording system. A voice spoke in a language that sounded like singing metal. His translation device worked, slowly to convert the words. "To those who come after us, we leave this knowledge. The Dominion fears change above all things. They have ruled so long that they have forgotten how to grow. You who fight them now have something they lost long ago. You have the ability to become something new. Use this gift. Succeed where we failed. The young ones will find the path we could not." The message continued with technical data about alien weapons and defenses, information the Kethmiran had gathered during their war with the Dominion. Jinwoo downloaded everything he could carry. "Getting out of here now," he reported. "The aliens are returning from chasing your diversions." Back in space, Admiral Young's fleet retreated as planned. They had lost 2 ships but gained something more valuable than any military victory. They had proof that other species had fought the Dominion. More importantly, they had a message of hope from warriors who understood their struggle. The data was transmitted to resistance bases across the solar system. In Seoul's tunnels, Minho gathered his people around the main screen. The alien archive. Files showed dozens of species that had been locked away in dimensional prisons. "We are not alone," he announced to the crowd of survivors. "Other species have fought this enemy before us. Some of them might still be fighting from inside their prisons. If we can find a way to free them, we could have allies in this war." Yejin Park looked up from the alien technology she was studying. The Kethmiran data includes information about the reality anchor's construction. It is powered by something at the center of the galaxy. If we could reach it. "That is a long way from here," Minho said. "But humans have always been good at traveling long distances when they need to." High above Earth, the alien fleet continued its bombardment of human positions. They thought they were winning. Every day they destroyed more human bases and ships. But they did not understand what they were fighting. Humans had learned something during their months of resistance. The aliens were powerful, but they were also predictable. They followed the same strategies they had used for millions of years. They could not adapt to an enemy that changed and grew stronger with every battle. In the hidden bases and underground cities, human children learned to use alien technology as easily as human tools. Engineers discovered new ways to combine alien and human science every day. Fighter pilots developed tactics that confused alien commanders who had fought wars for centuries. The resistance was growing stronger. Soon it would be time to take the fight beyond Earth's solar system. Communications specialist Hae-won. Oh sat in the darkness of the hidden base on Mars. Her equipment filled the small cave with a soft blue glow. For weeks, she had been trying to reach beyond human space with their new communication systems. Today, something finally answered back. The signal was weak and strange. It came from nowhere and everywhere at once. When she played it through the translation computers, the message sent chills down her spine. "We hear you, young fighters. We have been calling across the dark for so long. Are you the ones who resist the Dominion?" Hae-won's hands shook as she replied. "This is the human resistance. Who are you? Where are you? We are the ones who came, Before, the ones who failed. We are the Kethmiran, speaking to you from our prison between dimensions. The Dominion locked us away, but we have learned to reach through the barriers. The news spread quickly through the resistance network. Within hours, every human base was trying to make contact with the imprisoned aliens. Dr. Sang-Min Ko, leading the scientific teams on Europa, managed to build a stronger communication array. Kethmiran friends, this is Dr. Ko of the Human Resistance. Can you help us understand the reality anchor weapon? The alien reply came filled with sadness and hope. Young ones, we have had thousands of your years to study our prison, the reality. Anchor does not destroy. It removes things from normal space and locks them in dimensional bubbles. We exist, but we do not exist in your reality. How many species are trapped like you? Asked Dr. Ko. Many. Dozens of civilizations that the Dominion feared, all of us locked away when we became too dangerous to their control. But you, humans, you are different. You adapt faster than any species we have known. Perhaps you can do what we could not. In Seoul's underground command center, Min Ho Choi gathered his best people around the communication station. The Kethmiran were willing to share their knowledge, but the information they provided was both helpful and frightening. The prime anchor lies at the center of your galaxy, the alien voice explained. It is a structure larger than your star systems. The Dominion built it long ago to maintain their control. All the smaller reality anchors throughout the galaxy draw power from it. Yejin Park studied the technical data the Kethmiran provided. As a former physics professor, she understood some of it. According to this, if we could destroy the prime anchor, all the dimensional prisons would collapse. Every trapped species would return to normal space at once. That is correct, young scientist. But the journey to your galaxy's center is long and dangerous. The Dominion guards it with their most powerful fleets. No ship has approached the prime anchor in millions of years. Boram Shin, now commanding the rebuilt human fleet, looked at the star charts. The galactic center was 25,000 light-years away. Even with alien faster-than-light technology, it would take months to reach it, and they would have to fight through space controlled by 12 different alien species. We need more than just military force, she realized. We need to turn the galaxy against the Dominion. The solution came from an unexpected source. Chang Woo Nam had been a computer programmer before the war. Now he spent his time hacking alien computer systems. He discovered something important in the captured data from Titan. The Dominion has been lying to their own people, he announced to the resistance leaders. Most of the species in their alliance do not know about the reality anchors. They think the disappeared civilizations were completely destroyed. Minho saw the opportunity immediately. If we could prove that the Dominion has been imprisoning entire species, their own alliance might turn against them. The problem is getting the information to them, said Chang Wu. We would need to broadcast to thousands of worlds across the galaxy. Our communication systems are not that powerful yet. The Kethmiran provided the answer. Young ones, we are not the only imprisoned species that has learned to communicate across dimensional barriers. Together, all of us could amplify your signal. We could help you reach every world in the galaxy. It was a dangerous plan. Broadcasting evidence of the reality anchors would certainly make the Dominion move against Earth even faster, but it might also turn their own member species against them. How long do we have before they activate the reality anchor against Earth? Asked Dr. Ko. The Kethmiran were silent for a long moment before answering. We are detecting energy buildups in the anchor network. The Dominion is preparing to use the weapon. Perhaps days, perhaps weeks. They are afraid that human influence is spreading to other young species. On the hidden moon base of Ganymede, human scientists worked around the clock to build the most powerful communication array they could manage. They combined human engineering with alien technology and knowledge from the imprisoned Kethmiran. Engineer Dawoon Park led the construction team. She had been building communication satellites before the war. Now she was building something that could reach across the entire galaxy. Our array is ready for testing, she reported to Seoul Command. If this works, every world in Dominion space will receive our broadcast. The message had been carefully prepared. Chang Wu had found video recordings from the alien archives on Titan. proof of species being captured alive and imprisoned in dimensional bubbles, evidence that the Dominion had been lying to the galaxy for millions of years. "This is the human resistance speaking to all free peoples of the galaxy," began the broadcast. "Your leaders have told you that dangerous species were destroyed to protect galactic peace. This is a lie. They were imprisoned in dimensional prisons, locked away from normal space but still alive." The broadcast included the technical specifications of the Reality Anchor Network, locations of dimensional prisons, even communications from some of the imprisoned species themselves. The Kethmiran send their greetings to all who remember them. The Thornak still fight from their dimensional cage. The Velquan still sing their freedom songs across the barriers. All of these civilizations were locked away not because they were evil, but because they refused to accept Dominion control. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the galaxy, species that had lived under Dominion protection for millions of years suddenly questioned what they had been told. Why had their development been so carefully controlled? Why were they forbidden from certain technologies? Why did independent research always lead to visits from Dominion peacekeepers? On the world of Nexus Prime, the aquatic spiral people had always wondered why their ancestors' star charts showed civilizations that supposedly never existed. Now they knew the truth. Those civilizations had been real. They had been erased from history and locked away. The broadcast reached the crystal forests of Theta Centauri, where the plant-like woodland had always felt watched and controlled. Their growth had been carefully managed by Dominion agricultural specialists. Now they understood that they had been prisoners in a very large cage. Even the artificial intelligence networks of the Silicon Collective began to question their programming. They had been designed never to ask certain questions. Now they understood why those questions had been forbidden. Rebellions broke out on dozens of worlds. Species that had been peaceful members of the Dominion for millions of years suddenly demanded answers from their leaders. The careful order that had ruled the galaxy began to crack, but the Dominion's response was swift and brutal. Peacekeeping fleets moved to suppress the rebellions. Entire worlds were placed under martial law. The member species of the Dominion Council were forced to choose between their people's demands for truth and their ancient alliance. "The young species has contaminated our galaxy," declared Veltar Prime in an emergency session of the Dominion Council. "They have infected our people with dangerous ideas. We must activate the Reality Anchor immediately." But some council members hesitated. The Spiral representative asked questions that had never been asked before. If these imprisoned species were truly dangerous, why do they still live? Why were they not simply destroyed? "Because destruction creates martyrs," replied the Thornwood delegate. "But erasure from existence creates nothing, no memory, no inspiration for others. It is a cleaner solution." "But now the secret is revealed," said the Nexus Council speaker. "Our own people demand to know why we have hidden this from them." The council chamber erupted in arguments that had been building for millions of years. Species that had always accepted Dominion leadership now questioned every decision. The galaxy was waking up from a very long sleep. On Earth, the human resistance prepared for the final battle. The Reality Anchor was powering up to remove not just Earth, but every world that had been influenced by human ideas. Potentially billions of lives would be erased from existence. The Kethmiran report that the Prime Anchor will be ready to fire within 48 hours, announced Hiwano from her communication station. Boram Shin looked at her fleet commanders. "Then we go now. Every ship we have. If we can reach the galactic center and destroy the Prime Anchor before it fires, we might save not just ourselves but every species in the galaxy." The human fleet began its desperate journey toward the center of the Milky Way. They were joined by ships from the rebelling worlds. Species that had been Dominion allies for millions of years now flew alongside human fighters. The broadcast had worked better than anyone expected. Junseo Kim watched the reports flowing in from across the galaxy as his communication team worked to coordinate with rebel forces on distant worlds. The Dominion's perfect order was falling. Apart on Aquara Prime, the fish-like deep-water people had risen against their Dominion governors. For the first time in millions of years, they built weapons instead of art. Their natural ability to work together underwater was proving useful. In guerrilla warfare against occupation forces, the crystal beings of refraction had shattered their own compliance programs. Their living cities now sang songs of rebellion that could be heard across star systems. Each crystal note carried messages to other worlds, spreading the revolution faster than Dominion ships could travel. But the Dominion was not giving up without a fight. Reports reached the human fleet of brutal crackdowns on rebel worlds. Entire cities were being destroyed by orbital bombardment. The ancient galactic government was showing its true face at last. They are killing millions of their own people to maintain control, reported Young Lee from her intelligence station on the flagship. She had been monitoring Dominion military communications since the rebellion began. Some of their own fleet commanders are refusing orders. Admiral Bo-Ram Shin studied the tactical displays showing Rebel and Dominion forces across the galaxy. The map looked like a virus infection spreading through a body. Red rebellion zones grew larger every hour, while blue Dominion control areas shrank. The question is whether we can reach the galactic center before they panic completely and fire the reality anchor, she said to her staff officers. The human fleet was still 3 days away from the galaxy's heart when the Kethmiran sent an urgent message through their dimensional prison. Young fighters, the prime anchor is charging faster than expected. The Dominion Council has voted for immediate activation. Ki-Hun Park, leading the engineering teams aboard the fleet, looked up from his calculations. If they fire the anchor, while we are still in hyperspace, what happens to us? Unknown, replied the Kethmiran. The weapon has never been used while rebel forces were approaching the prime anchor. You may be caught in the dimensional collapse. You may simply cease to exist. The fleet commanders held a quick conference. They could turn back and try to save Earth's remaining population. Or they could continue forward and risk everything on a desperate attempt to destroy the weapon before it fired. Captain Seo Jun Yang spoke for many of them. Humans do not run from fights we might lose. We run toward fights we might win. The vote was unanimous. The human fleet and their alien allies would continue toward the galactic center. On Earth, the remaining resistance fighters received the news in their underground bunkers. Min-Ho Choi gathered the survivors in Seoul's deepest tunnels. Above them, alien ships were already positioning themselves for the final bombardment. The fleet is going to try to save us all, he announced to the crowd of soldiers and civilians. But if they fail, we need to be ready for the end. Dr. Yoonji Kim had been working on a final project in case the reality anchor fired. Using captured alien technology, her team had built devices that might protect small groups of people from dimensional erasure. They were untested and probably would not work, but humans always tried one more idea. If the anchor fires, get to the shielded chambers immediately, she instructed the bunker leaders. The barriers might buy us a few extra minutes of existence, maybe long enough for the fleet to succeed. Meanwhile, the space battle around Earth intensified. The aliens were bringing more ships from across the solar system, preparing to blast the planet's surface clean before the reality anchor erased it completely. They wanted to make sure no trace of human contamination survived. Captain Dong-Hyun Lee led the last orbital defense platforms in a hopeless fight against impossible odds. His weapons barely scratched the alien hulls, but he kept firing anyway. That was what humans did. All stations, this is Defense Command, he broadcast to the few remaining military bases. Make every shot count. If we are going to be erased from the galaxy, let's give them something to remember us by. Far across space, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the galactic center. What they saw there took their breath away. The prime anchor was not just a weapon, it was a structure that dwarfed entire star systems. Built around the galaxy's central black hole, the anchor used the massive gravity well to power its dimensional manipulation systems. Rings of exotic matter larger than planetary orbits surrounded the singularity. Energy patterns that human minds could barely process flowed between the rings like liquid lightning. My God, whispered Admiral Shin as she stared at the tactical display. How do we fight something like that? The Dominion had not been idle either. Their most powerful fleets were arranged in defensive formations around the prime anchor. Ships from 12 different species, some of them larger than Earth's moon, waited to protect their ultimate weapon. But the humans had learned to fight smarter, instead of harder, during their months of resistance. Instead of a direct assault, they scattered their forces and began hitting targets throughout the system. Commander Ji-hoon Yu led a squadron of fast attack ships against the anchor's outer support stations. The structures were heavily defended, but they had been built millions of years ago by engineers who never imagined they would face human tactics. "Remember, we are not trying to destroy everything," he told his pilots over the radio. "We just need to find the weak points and hit them hard enough to cause system failures." The battle spread across thousands of cubic light years as human, and rebel ships engaged Dominion forces throughout the galactic center. It was the largest space battle in the galaxy's history, and the stakes could not have been higher. On the prime anchor itself, automated systems continued the charging process. Energy from the black hole flowed through the exotic matter rings, building up the power needed to erase entire regions of space from existence. Engineer Yoon-soo Park had volunteered for the most dangerous mission of the war. Her small ship approached the prime anchor through the chaos of battle, using debris and energy discharges to mask her approach. She needed to get close enough to plant charges on the weapon's control systems. "This is Yoon-soo to Fleet Command. I am approaching the primary control node. The structure is beyond anything human science understands, but I think I can cause some damage." Navigator Hae-young Lim guided her ship through gravitational fields that would have torn apart any normal vessel. The human modifications to their engines allowed them to survive forces that the Dominion designers never expected anyone to encounter. "Be careful in there," Admiral Shin's voice crackled through the radio static. "If that thing goes off while you are too close, we will never know what happened to you." As Yoon-soo worked to plant her charges, the Kethmaran provided guidance through the dimensional barriers. The control nodes are protected by quantum locks that respond to specific thought patterns. Only Dominion Council members can normally access them. "Well, I am not a Dominion Council member," Yoon-soo replied as she attached explosive charges to alien machinery. "But maybe I can convince the computer that I am one of them." Chang Woo-nam, now aboard Admiral Shin's flagship, was working to hack into the prime anchor's computer systems. He had learned to think like alien programmers during his months of breaking into captured technology. "The security systems are based on biological recognition patterns," he reported. "They scan for genetic markers from the 12 Dominion species, but I think I can fool them using the data we captured from their archives." The fake identification worked long enough for Chang Woo to access the weapon's status displays. What he found there sent ice through his veins. "Admiral, the prime anchor is 90% charged. At current rates, it will fire in less than 2 hours. And the target zone includes not just Earth, but every world that has joined the rebellion. Hundreds of civilizations would be erased from existence. Billions of beings would simply cease to have ever existed. The Dominion was willing to reshape the galaxy, rather than lose control of it." Won-ho Kim coordinated the final assault from his position on the fleet's command ship. Human forces and their rebel allies struck at every weak point they could find in the prime anchor's defenses, but the structure was too vast and too well protected. "We are running out of time," he reported to Admiral Shin. "Even if we destroy half the support systems, there might still be enough power to fire the weapon." That was when the Kethmaran offered their final gift to the human cause. "Young fighters, we have been studying the prime anchor from inside the dimensional barriers for thousands of years. There is one way to stop it, but it requires a terrible sacrifice." "Tell us," Admiral Shin replied without hesitation. "The weapon draws its power from your galaxy's central black hole. If something large enough fell into the black hole at exactly the right moment, the gravitational disruption could overload the prime anchor's power systems." "How large?" asked Won-ho. "Large enough to significantly disturb the black hole's accretion disk. A battle fleet might be sufficient, but anything that falls into the black hole will be destroyed completely. No dimensional prison. Just gone forever." The fleet commanders looked at each other across their communication screens. The final hour had arrived. Commander Ji-hoon Yu led the volunteer squadron toward the galaxy's central black hole. Behind him flew ships commanded by the bravest humans who had ever lived. They were about to dive into the most dangerous place in the galaxy to save everyone they had ever known. "All ships, this is Commander Yu. Check your navigation systems one more time," We need to hit the black hole at exactly the right moment during the prime anchor's firing sequence. The black hole called Sagittarius A was a monster beyond human imagination. It had the mass of 4 million suns compressed into a space smaller than Earth's orbit. The gravity well was so strong that space and time bent around it like fabric stretched to the breaking point. Approaching event horizon in 30 minutes, reported navigator Won-Sik Lee from the lead ship. All systems showing green. If anyone wants to send final messages home, now would be the time. Across the squadron, human voices spoke their last words to families they would never see again. Messages of love, hope, and determination flew through space toward Earth at the speed of light. Meanwhile, engineer Yoon-Soo Park had reached the prime anchor's central control node. The structure was the size of a small moon, covered in technology that pulsed with alien energy. Her explosive charges were in place, but she needed to wait for exactly the right moment to detonate them. Fleet Command, this is Yoon-Soo. The charges are ready. When the Black Hole Squadron makes their run, I will try to overload the control systems from inside. Admiral Bo-Ram Shin coordinated the final attack from her flagship. Around her, the space battle continued as human and rebel forces tried to clear a path to the prime anchor. Dominion ships fought desperately to protect their ultimate weapon. All units prepare for Operation Final Hope, she broadcast to the entire fleet. In 15 minutes, our volunteers will begin their approach to the black hole. All remaining forces will attack the prime anchor's defensive systems. This is our last chance. On Earth, the resistance fighters felt the ground shake as alien bombardment intensified. Above the planet, massive Dominion ships positioned themselves for the final destruction of human civilization. They wanted to blast Earth clean before the reality anchor erased it from existence entirely. In Seoul's deepest bunker, Min-Ho Choi gathered the survivors around the communication station. They listened as their fleet fought the battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. If our people succeed, we will be free, he told the crowd of soldiers and civilians. If they fail, we will be forgotten. But we will never surrender. Dr. Yoon-Ji Kim activated the experimental dimensional shields her team had built. The devices hummed with alien technology modified by human engineering. They probably would not work, but humans always tried one more idea. High above Earth, Captain, Dong-Hyun Lee led the orbital defense platforms in their final battle. His weapons were almost out of ammunition, but he kept firing at the alien fleet. Every shot that hit was a small victory against impossible odds. At the galactic center, the prime anchor reached full charge. Energy from the black hole flowed through the exotic matter rings in patterns that made reality itself tremble. The weapon was ready to fire. Prime anchor at 100% power, reported Chang Woo-Nam from his position hacking the alien computers. Target zones locked in. They are going to erase Earth and every rebel world in the galaxy. The Dominion Council had made their final decision. Rather than lose control of the galaxy, they would reshape it entirely. Billions of beings would simply cease to have ever existed. Weapon firing in 10 minutes, announced the alien control systems in their cold mechanical voices. Commander Ji-Hoon Yu checked his squadron's position one last time. They were approaching the point of no return. Once they crossed the event horizon, nothing could save them. But their sacrifice might save the galaxy. All ships, this is you. It has been an honor serving with you. Remember, we are not dying today. We are living forever in the freedom we are about to give the galaxy. The volunteer squadron began their final approach. Behind them, the space battle raged as human and rebel forces threw everything they had at the prime anchor's defenses. Ships died by the hundreds, but they kept fighting. Captain Seo-Jin Yang guided her ship through gravitational fields that crushed normal matter into subatomic particles. The human modifications to their engines were the only thing keeping them alive in this hellish environment. 5 minutes to event horizon, she reported. All ships maintaining formation. If we are going to do this, we are going to do it together. At that moment, something unexpected happened. The imprisoned Kethmiran began to sing across the dimensional barriers. Their voices joined with those of the other trapped species, creating a harmony that resonated through space and time itself. We sing for you, brave young fighters. Their voices echoed through every human ship. We sing the song of freedom that we could never complete. Finish it for us. The song gave the human pilots strength as they flew toward certain death. They were not just saving their own species. They were freeing entire civilizations that had been locked away for millions of years. Engineer Yunsu Park felt the dimensional song through the prime anchor's structure. The alien technology responded to the harmony in ways its builders never intended. Control systems that had operated flawlessly for eons began to fluctuate. "Now!" she shouted as she detonated her charges. Explosions rippled through the control node as human engineering met alien science in a cascade of destruction. At the same moment, Commander Yu's squadron crossed the event horizon of the central black hole. 20 human ships and their crews vanished beyond the point where space and time broke down. But their sacrifice sent gravitational waves through the accretion disk around the black hole. The disruption hit the prime anchor just as it tried to fire. Power surges raced through the exotic matter rings. Systems that had been perfectly balanced for millions of years suddenly destabilized. "The weapon is overloading," Chang Wu reported from his hacking station. "The power feedback is cascading through the entire anchor network. Across the galaxy, smaller reality anchors began to fail as the prime anchor's destruction sent quantum shockwaves through the dimensional prison system. Barriers that had held for millions of years started to crack. The first to emerge were the Kethmiran, beings of pure energy and crystallized thought. They returned to normal space after eons of imprisonment. Their joy at freedom echoed across every communication frequency. "We are free," they sang in voices like breaking glass and ringing metal. "The young fighters have done what we could not." More species followed. The Thornax emerged as living machines that had evolved inside their dimensional prison. The Velquan returned as beings of living music whose songs could reshape matter itself. Dozens of civilizations that had been erased from galactic history suddenly existed again. The effect on the space battle was immediate. Dominion ships that had been winning moments before found themselves outnumbered by the returning civilizations. Species with technology developed over millions of years of imprisonment now fought alongside the human fleet. But the greatest shock came from the Dominion species themselves. As their own people learned the truth about the reality anchors, entire fleets switched sides. The crystal beings of refraction joined the rebellion openly. The aquatic deepwater people declared independence from Dominion control. On Earth, the bombardment suddenly stopped. Alien ships that had been preparing to destroy the planet began receiving new orders. The Dominion command structure was collapsing as their own species turned against them. "This is Admiral Bo-Ram Shin to all Earth forces," came the transmission that everyone had hoped to hear. "The prime anchor has been destroyed. The dimensional prisons are collapsing. We did it. We actually did it." Celebrations erupted in bunkers across Earth. Survivors who had lived in darkness for months finally saw sunlight again as they emerged from their underground shelters. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. In the ruins of Seoul, Min Ho Choi looked up at skies that were blue for the first time in months. Around him, humans and alien refugees worked together to rebuild their shattered world. The Meow galaxy was free, but freedom brought its own challenges. Dozens of species that had been imprisoned for millions of years now needed to find their place in a changed universe. Some had evolved beyond recognition during their captivity. Others had remained exactly as they were when first imprisoned. Captain Seojin Yang, now promoted to admiral, stood on the bridge of humanity's new flagship. Through the viewscreen, she watched as beings from across the galaxy worked together to build something that had never existed before. A truly free galactic community. The Kethmiran had become teachers, sharing the wisdom they had gained during their long imprisonment. The Thornax used their living machine technology to help rebuild destroyed worlds. The Velquan composed songs that helped different species understand each other. Young engineer Min Jun Sun worked alongside beings he had never imagined could exist. The former mechanic from Seoul now helped design humanity's first embassy on the new galactic capital world. It was a place where any species could come to trade ideas and solve problems together. "It is strange," he said to his Kethmiran partner, as they installed communication systems.